Okay, once again, welcome to the Penn State Chapter CMS training. As we discussed, the first thing we're going to go over is where to find help if you need help. We have a training website that is very easy to access. When you're logged in with your admin rights, when you hover over this blue circle in the top of your admin toolbar, you should have a link to the online help. When we click that, takes us over to our Confluence website. This is basically Wikipedia for all things iModules. So from here, you can search for a topic you'd like to learn more about, or use these navigation links. I also want to point out that we have video tutorials spread throughout this entire site for each topic. Additional resources are down here as well. There's a FAQ page that's extremely helpful. Video tutorials, and then links to other things. There's also links to training sessions if you need to take additional training beyond this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close our help site down. And now for the training portion. All right, the first thing we're going to discuss is the Sitemap. When you're on the content portion of your admin toolbar, you should have this sub-navigation bar that starts with Sitemap. We'll launch the Sitemap by clicking it. And this is the behind-the-scenes area of your entire site. So we can kind of see how this is organized if we scooch this over a little bit. The page that we're currently on is going to be highlighted in your sitemap. And then all of the sub-pages are going to be reflected in the navigation of your site. So if you've got some left-hand navigation like we see over here, these should match up with the sub-pages that we see in your channel. So anything that has sub-pages we would call a channel. Now we can add, remove, or sort the pages that we see in the channel that you want to work in. If I right-click on the parent page, you'll see an option to create a new page. Doing this action would add a 7th sub-page under Lion Ambassadors AIG. We would be able to name that page and then work with the page properties that you see on the right-hand side. So let's just go ahead and see what that process looks like. The first time we do this, hit Create Page. The system is going to walk you through 3 different steps, but we really only need to worry about one thing when we're creating a new page from the sitemap, and that's giving our page a name. I'm just going to call my page Jeremy's Test, and you guys can use whatever verbiage you want to use there. Eventually we'll learn how to delete this page as well, so it won't always be in your site, but for now, give your page a name.
The administrative thing here on our side.
And then hit Next to move through the different steps. We're going to work with all these options that we see in just a little bit when we actually get to the content on the page. So for now, we're just giving it a name and we're saving it all the way through. And now you can see that your page that you created is going to default to going to the very bottom of the sitemap. Now what if we wanted to move this up so that Jeremy's test page is now in between news and events? What we can do is we can sort this channel. So when I right-click on the parent page, we also see an option to sort channel. We'll have this organizer here, so I can click the page that I want to move, and then move it to a particular spot. I said I wanted it to live between news and events, so I'll move it there, then I'll hit Save. Our sitemap refreshes, and now we've got Jeremy's test page in between news and events. I save our sitemap, close it down, and refresh. We now see Jeremy's test page in the navigation of the website. So it's now a live page. I'm going to launch Sitemap one more time, and we're going to cover how do you remove a page. You can only remove a page if that page does not have any child pages under it. So when I right-click on Lion Ambassadors, I don't get a Remove Page option, but when I right-click on Jeremy's Test, I do get a Remove option. If I wanted to confirm that I would delete this page, I would hit the Confirm button, but I'm not going to do that right now. I want to use this page for some examples. The last thing you can do here, if you have multiple channels that you're working in, you have the ability to drag and drop a page for it to live in a different channel. So if I needed to move Jeremy's test page to a different channel, I could drag it onto the parent that I wanted it to live under. You would see a message like this: do you want to move Jeremy's test page under Lion Ambassadors? I don't right now. I'm going to click Cancel, but that's how you would move a page if you needed to. Drag and drop. You'll also notice that some of these pages are orange text and some are black text. Anything that's in orange text means that page is hidden from the navigation. And over in the page properties, there's a check mark down here that allows you to hide a page. So let's say I want this Jeremy's test page to exist, but I don't want it to show in the navigation of my site. I'll make sure that I have that page selected. I'll move to the properties, and I'll choose Exclude this page from navigation. And after saving that, and then closing down my sitemap, we now see that Jeremy's test page is hidden from the navigation. If I relaunch the sitemap, it's still in there right where we put it, but it's got orange text indicating that it's hidden from the view. The next thing we're going to talk about is the page properties, and that's going to be everything on this right-hand side of the sitemap. First things first is the page title. Every page needs to have a title. If you want to use the page title for admin purposes, but use a different friendly version in the navigation, you can add in some display text that would override. So for admin's purposes, that we would call this Jeremy's test, but we might also call it training CMS. So when I make it unhidden again and save my progress, we see that display text exists. And when I go to that page, you see training CMS here in the navigation, but the page name is still Jeremy's test. I need to relaunch my sitemap here. Hold on one second. There we go. So we still have the admin view, but the users see training CMS in the navigation. All right, we've got some spots up here for meta keywords and meta description. You'll use these if you want people to be able to search for your page through Google or something like that. You also have the ability to classify your page type. Meta image URL would be used if, say, you wanted to share this page on Facebook. Facebook likes to scrape the entire page to look for any image that it can use for its thumbnail. But if you include your own meta image URL, Facebook will use this image and not scrape for its own image. The next portion here is the audience. So every page can have its own unique audience. The default is going to be everyone, so anybody can come off the street and view the content on this page. A more restrictive audience option would be logged in, meaning people have to enter a username and a password before they can see that content. Even more restriction would be a role-based audience. Now, we're not going to get into roles today. That would be a whole nother training course, but people can be tagged as being in certain roles, and you can show pages just to those specific individuals. I'm going to leave my page audience on everyone, and then we'll move into the advanced box. Current template is going to be the current template that you're using. Now, you guys may have some special instructions to use in this area. So I'm not going to cover too much about templates. Just know that if you wanted to see what a page looked like under a specific template, you could choose it and then hit the preview template page or template icon, and you could see kind of how that background of that page would look. So I'll leave it on what it was. Children template just means that as you create child pages, they can be assigned a specific template. We've already discussed display text. Redirect to would be used if you wanted to have somebody click a page in the navigation, but it doesn't go to this interior page that you've created. It goes to an entirely different page. You would put in the full URL of whichever page you wanted them to be redirected to. The target means when somebody clicks this page in the navigation, are they going to open that new page in the same window or a new window? And then we see link style, custom HTML tag attributes. You guys won't ever have to deal with anything in these two fields, so I'm going to leave those as they are and keep moving down the line. The checkbox here says make this a header only, not a link. That would, you use that for your main headers of your parent pages. So if I didn't want Lion ambassadors to be able to be clicked on, but just show some additional subpages, I would make it a header only. We already talked about excluding pages from navigation and turning the text orange. Then our last option down here is to exclude all navigation from this page. What that would do is just leave your page as it is, but it would strip all navigation so that users couldn't navigate away from this page. You might use that for a page that was a giving form where you want them to focus on the gift and not be distracted and click an exterior link. All right, so that's all we have to cover over the sitemap and the page properties as well. Any questions on that? All right. Let's go ahead and close our sitemap window down. The next thing we're going to talk about is this new page option. So we've already seen how you can create pages through the sitemap. You can right-click on your parent page and choose the Create Page option. A faster way might be if you're on your parent page already and you wanted to create a subpage of this page, is to go to the New Page drop-down, choose the type of content that you want to create on that page. For instance, if I wanted to create a new page that had a mobile content block on it, I would click that option. It's going to quickly ask for a page title, but it's going to bypass all those additional properties. Then if I wanted to go immediately to that page, I have that option, or I could just create it so that it's in my structure. I'll hit the green icon to create the page. And now we see new page example as a subpage of training CMS. And when I open the sitemap, you'll see that represented as well. New page is now a subpage of Jeremy's test. Okay, I'm going to close down my sitemap again. This next button here is Page Properties. If you click that, you're going to notice that it's stuff we've already covered. It's everything on the right-hand side of the sitemap for the page that you have clicked on. Okay, so now that we've created a new test page or a new CMS page, we need to learn how to work with the content on that page. When you do first create a new page, we give you a content block to work with. It's represented with the building block icon with a pencil. So if I wanted to add some content to this block, I would click the icon. A window will launch. And we'll walk through the 3 steps of building out content. I also have the option if I wanted to, of adding an additional content block onto the page. When you want to do that, you'll hover over the Content Modules drop-down from your Content toolbar, and then choose the type of content that you want to drop down. Today we're only going to focus on this mobile content block. So you'll grab that option. Whenever your cursor moves to the four-headed arrow, you know that's something you can drag and drop. So what you'll do is you'll drag it, hold it, and drop it into a blue content area on your page. Once I see this blue highlighted area, I know that's a good spot that I can drop this area in. I'll release my my block, and now I can see that I've created a new content block on this page, and the default content will just be the name of the page that you're currently on. So if I wanted to get in here, I just click the icon and go through my steps. Okay, so let's walk through these steps. First, the details of the page. We can name our individual content blocks. You can also classify the type of content that you're putting on. Usually it's going to default to mobile content block. You can choose an audience as well. I saw a question come through. I'm going to cover that in just 1 second. Let's get through this first step here. So audience, every single content block that you add to your page can have its own audience. And we already talked about our different audience options. And then finally, we have some publishing options. The default is to publish this content immediately. But content can also be scheduled out. So you'll create the content today, but you'll schedule it to be popping up on that page on whatever date that you choose in the future. I'll leave it at the defaults, and let's see what this question is. Can you duplicate an existing page and then rename and add content in existing blocks? You can't clone an entire page. You can create a new page, and then you can just kind of copy and paste the content from the original page into the new page. Does that answer your question, Sandy?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so let's move on past our first step here. We'll click Next. On this page, we get different layouts that we can select. So if I wanted to start building a table, I would determine how my table is going to be configured. I've got these different layout options, 50-50, 60-40, so on and so forth. Here's a 3-column and here's a 4-column. To keep things simple today, let's just work with the main content block, no individual cells. I'll click Next. And on this third step, we have the ability to use our content editor. We'll click the blue link, click here to add content. So this is our standard content editor, and you're going to see this all over your new site. So it's really important that we learn how to work with this properly. First thing I'd like to point out is that you've got 2 modes here. You've got a design mode and you've got an HTML mode. So if somebody gives you some embedded HTML, you can switch over to the HTML mode, paste in your embed code, and that will follow through. But mostly you'll be working in design mode. That's when you get access to your usual content editor options like bolding and underlining and alignment and indentations and things like that. You also have a font name picker here and a font size picker. However, I'm going to warn you that to keep your content uniform throughout the entire site, it's best if you use your existing paragraph styles rather than choosing different fonts and different sizes on all your different blocks. So these paragraph styles have already been designed for you through the CSS. Next thing I want to cover is, let's say I put a message in an H1 tag. I'll type out my message, I'll highlight it, and make it an H1 header. If I hit my Enter button to go down to the next line, I want you to watch what happens. It starts me down in a new paragraph. And it carries over new styling. So if I wanted to just go to the next line and keep the styling that I'm in, I need to hold down Shift and hit Enter. Just be aware of that. Next thing I want to talk about is pasting in content from outside sources. It's a best practice in iModules, if you're going to be copying and pasting content into the editor, that you use some sort of text editor program. I like to use Notepad or Notepad++. Notepad is one of those programs that you have in your Start menu. It might be under Accessories if you need to find it there. Notepad is a program that is a text editor. It'll strip all formatting from that outside source that you're copying from. You don't want to include the styling in your new editor. So strip it all and then apply the certain styles that you want to do. You can also use these paste buttons up here. Okay? So I've added some content to my page. I'm going to click the Apply button. I'll see a preview of how that's going to look on the desktop view. I could also switch over to phone view if I want to see how this would look on a mobile device. When I'm ready to see this content on my page, I'll hit the Save button. We can see how our headers look. We can see how our normal style looks. And if I want to get back into this block to make some additional edits, which I do, I'll click the building block icon again. And I'll walk through my 3 steps. I need to be on the 3rd step. That's where I can actually change my content. So next, next, click into Edit, and I'm back to my editor. The next thing we're going to cover is how to work with the image manager. So let's say I wanted to put an image on this page in this content block. One thing I don't want to do is go over to Google Images, copy an image, and paste it right into the editor. That is not a good thing to do. The reason for that is if the source of that image removes it from their website, it's also going to break your image in your site. So we have an image manager tool that we would like everyone to use. I'm getting some feedback. If you can mute your GoToMeeting, if anybody isn't muted already, please do that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue. We want to use our image manager to save an image into this central image library that we can use throughout the rest of the site. So to launch the image manager, you're going to use this mountain icon with the red sun there. And your image manager will be organized with these folders over here on the left. If you need to create a new folder, you do have that option. So if I wanted to add an image to the, let's just say the original folder, I'll need to have that folder selected first. I can see any images that are currently in that folder. When I want to upload a new image, this is where I'm going to tell you the best practice again, is to make sure that you've got your image fully edited before you upload it into iModules. So run through all your photoshopping, make sure you got your pixel sizes all properly organized before you do your uploading.
Jeremy,
Yes.
if I may, for any of the chapters, if you click on that chapter folder, everybody has their own chapter directory, so that if you be putting them in, just find your directory, you put them in there, that way it's organized and you can keep your stuff together.
Great, thank you. So let's say I wanted to add an image to the boxing folder. I'll have that selected. Then I'm going to click the upload button, the big green plus button. The system gives me 3 spots so I can upload 3 images at a time. If I wanted to upload, say, 5 images at a time, I'll click the add button a couple times. I can also remove if I need these, if I don't need those slots. Down here in the gray box, we've got some instructions. Your max file size allowed is 10 megabytes. And you've got some file extensions that are allowed as well. All your usual image files will be here. All right, so I've done my work. I've photoshopped my image completely. And now it's time to upload it into a folder. So I'll click select. And I'm going to look for that image on my computer. Got a lot of test images that I use throughout the year. I'll just do the one with the puppy. So I can see that image name there in the field. I'll hit the upload button now. Our image manager is going to refresh, and you should see that image you loaded somewhere in here. When you select it, you'll be able to see a preview of it over on the right-hand side. We're in the preview tab, but we could also move over to the properties tab if we wanted to see some behind-the-scenes properties of this image. From this tab, you'll be able to see the width and the height of your image. Image alignment you'll use if you wanted to wrap some text around your image. You can add a border to your image. You can select your border width in pixels, and then also choose a border color. Top, right, bottom, and left. You'll use these 4 areas if you want to add some padding around your image. So if it's being wrapped, you might want to add some padding to the right side or the left side, depending on how it's wrapping. Alt text, title text, and long description, you'll use these areas for accessibility purposes. So if somebody has a screen reader, the system will read out the alt text or the long description. And then if you're a CSS person, there's a CSS option down here. I don't know CSS, so I won't ever cover that. So once I've got all my properties all set, I'll click the Insert button. And now, wherever my cursor was, I've got my image. One quick way to get back to the properties would be to right-click on your image and choose the properties there. All right, any questions about the image manager? Just to recap, we showed you how to open up a content block, how to access your image manager, how your folder structure works, and how to upload and manage the properties of a particular image.
Jeremy, this is Donna. I just want to give a message to everybody. So since we got started a little later on the actual training than we had planned, we probably have another 10 or 15 minutes before Jeremy will actually get through all his content. If you have to drop off and you are unable to stay and participate, I just want to remind everybody that we are recording this, and when we have that posted with a link, it will be set so that you can access that as a way to like maybe re-review or watch whatever you might have missed if you're not able to stay on. And then also we're having another session on Thursday that you'll be seeing. If you wanted to join that, you could send a note to Cheryl, or you'll be seeing an invite from her. So just 2 comments in case anybody had to drop off. I wanted to let you know that before you left. Okay, Jeremy.
All right, thank you. Jacqueline is asking, will you email the link to the recording? Donna, will that link? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be emailing, and it'll have a link in it that will take you to the recording.
All right. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. We've worked with image files. Now what if we wanted to work with document files? Let's say I wanted to add some content here that was, click here to view the PDF. And it was a hyperlink so that when somebody clicks here, a PDF would launch. It's very possible within our editor. What you want to do is set your text first and highlight your text that you want to be linked. And then we're going to visit the the document manager icon. It's the paper with the red paperclip. So we'll launch that. And you're going to see some similarities here to the document manager from the image manager. You've got your same organization structure. So I'll upload a document to a particular folder. Once you're in that folder, you'll be able to view any documents that have already been loaded. And if you need to upload a document into this folder, you'll use the upload button. This functions the same way. Notice that your max file size allowed has changed. So document files are 7 megabytes max. And the document manager uses different file extensions. These are all document extensions. PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoints, Excel files, things like that. I would go through the same selection process of finding the document that I wanted to upload on my computer. We've already seen that, so I'm not going to do that process. When I find the document that I want to use, I'll select it, and I'll see some options over on the right as well. Link text is exactly what you have highlighted in your editor. Target means your user is going to open that document in the same window or a new window or any of these other options. I recommend new window. Tooltip is a neat feature. It allows the user to hover over that hyperlink and then see any kind of text that you would like to show them. All right, tooltip can be useful just as a placeholder. And now when I insert this document, you'll see that the text is now highlighted like a hyperlink, and when I hover over it, the tooltip comes up. Okay? Now I don't want to actually use this link, so what I'm going to do is use our remove link tool to take down that hyperlink. And now nothing is highlighted. Okay? So that's our document manager. Next thing we're going to do is actual hyperlinks, so hyperlinks to websites. Same deal. You've got your text written out. You're going to highlight the text that you want to be hyperlinked. The icon that we're going to visit this time is going to be the Hyperlink Manager. We'll be in the Hyperlink tab. The URL is the destination, so if I wanted to send my users to CNN, I would type out www.cnn.com. If you're going to copy and paste an address directly from the browser window, notice that we do start out your URL area with the HTTP already in there. If I'm copying and pasting from a different website, notice that the HTTP part is now duplicated. So you'll want to remove the first HTTP if you're pasting. Okay. Next is the link text. We already know what that is. That's what's highlighted. Target, how is it going to open? And then tooltip as well. We'll click OK. And now this part of the message is hyperlinked. Okay. We're coming to the end of it. Donna, was there anything on the agenda that we needed to spend some more time on, or anything that we didn't cover that we should cover?
And it might not be any different than what you just showed here. I wanted to make sure that people would know how they kept their photos, say, on Flickr, or they had Docs and Google Docs, how they could put a link into like an external site.
Okay. I don't have a Google Doc to show an example of. So let's say if I was hyperlinking to Flickr, it's what I've already showed. Basically, it's grab that URL, switch back to your editor, and highlight the text. Click here to go to Flickr, hyperlink, and paste, and hit OK. So yeah, hyperlinking to Flickr is easy. If you've got some embed code like Google Maps, let's do Google Maps as an example. Google Maps, you can share or embed a map within your content editor. So if I have a map here, let's say I wanted to show a map to iModules headquarters. I'll type in that address. When I've got my location selected here, in the menu, one of my options in my menu is share or embed. I imagine documents are similar to this process. There's going to be an embed code that you can grab. Your options are share a link to this page or actually embed it within your site. Over on the left here, you can choose if you want a small map or a medium map or a large map, or you can choose your own custom size where you put in the pixel dimensions of your map. I'll just show an example of a small map. In this area here where it starts with iframe, this is what we want to copy. This is basically some HTML code. So we're going to copy the HTML code, move back to our editor, and since we've got HTML copied, we have to move over to the HTML mode to paste that in wherever we want. I'll just drop it here at the bottom. You paste in that whole iframe source. Now when we switch back to design mode, the system reads that HTML and transforms it into a map. And that map is actually going to be interactive at this point. the instructions for embedding anything are pretty similar. Once you get that HTML code, paste it into the HTML mode of your editor, click Apply, save it to our web page. That page refreshes, and now we've got all of our content in this block on our page. Does that cover it?
Yep, that's wonderful. So you might as well show them how to remove a page.
Yes. Okay, so now that we've gone through this training, and some of you might have added some additional pages to your site, if you ever wanted to get rid of that page, you can do that. You'll do that through the Sitemap. So launch your Sitemap, and then you simply need to right-click on the page that you want to get rid of and choose the Remove option. Once we close this session, I'll remove my test page from this area. I would encourage you guys to do your own cleanup, or you can keep your page around if you want to refer to it for some example.
And with that, just a couple, so this is Donna again, a couple notes to everybody. So the pages that you are on, your chapter sites that you are on, those will be turning into your brand new sites. As I said, there's some photos on some of the sites. Some of you might look through it and all your photos are there. Other ones, the photos are still being transitioned, but they will be there. The URL that you were on, that you're currently on, will change slightly by the beginning of next week. So we will be sending you your new URL sites, both your current, what we call vanity URLs, where they're more generic. Those URLs will still work, but we will send those along to you too, along with the detail URLs that change slightly. So you will be getting those at the beginning of next week. You are free to, like, say tonight, tomorrow, right, this weekend, you want to get back in and you want to do some changes now that you're on your site. You will be able to click back into this same chapter link that you were on today and get back in and continue making edits if you so choose. That they will be there. So you are welcome to do that. Anything you change will be there next week. When we change a URL, it'll just be changing to be the official. We won't be messing with your site at all. So you are welcome to do those edits. Okay.
Donna, should I stop the recording at this point?
Yes, that's fine, Jeremy.